joined by Seijiro Takeshita in Shizuoka. He's a professor at the School of Management and Information at the University of Shizuoka. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program. Were you surprised by Kishida's win?
No, not really. That's because the biggest issue was how the government was coping with the COVID-19. And for example, yesterday in Tokyo, there were only 22 that was reported to have the COVID-19, meaning that there is a very clear simmering down of the COVID-19 issue, which basically puts a much better mood and push towards the existing government. And it was Mr. Suga, the previous prime minister, that basically administered this. But it's Mr. Kishida that's really receiving the benefit of his effort right now.
Right. And reducing inequality is one of the main issues on his agenda, as we've been reporting. Talk to us a bit, if you can, about how big of an issue this is in Japan and what you think Kishida's plan will be to bring that equality to his country.
Good question. Well, it's not only the LDP, but every party was talking about, the re-strengthening this inequality situation that we're seeing, especially after the COVID-19. We're seeing a clear disparity of wealth, although amongst OECD nations, Japan has a very low level of disparity of wealth. But that said, obviously, this was the first agenda. But as soon as he came into concrete measures and talking about concrete measures, for example, taxing the securities, capital gains taxation, raising it to a higher standard, the market fell quite sharply. And then he basically, muffled his mouth about, how he's going to implement this, correction in equality. Now, it's very difficult, politically speaking, because it's not only Mr. Kishida, but everyone's talking about big spending, make everybody happy, a bit like Trump type of, policy that everyone's talking about. But let's not forget that Japan is the most heavily indebted country in the world, with, declining population. So, there's not really much of a reality in a lot of, implementation stages of policy that they're talking about.
All right, let's move on from here. He's also planning on increasing military spending. What do you think about that? China, of course, being one of the main reasons here. How much more do you think needs to be invested in military operations?
It's a very tricky question because the fact of the matter is, as we have formed Quad, and as you just reported, the severe aggression from China tells us that we have to protect ourselves. There's no going back for that. But that said, as you know, Japan is a country with our 9th constitution, which is totally against any war effort. And if we have a spending that goes over 1% of GDP, it's going to be a big row. We know that. So it's a very difficult call that he has to make to comply with the international aggression that we're seeing, and also pressure from the United States to increase the spending on the military side. But at the same time, on the domestic side, there still are many people in Japan who are very much more than just hesitant. They're almost like allergic to increasing the military spending. So this is going to be a very difficult call between the international agreement versus the political will, domestically speaking.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for joining us on the program and sharing that insight with us. We really appreciate it.